Hi, my name is Dhar. I'm a cognitive neuro coach and an independent researcher. Today I'll be talking about why do the current theories of self and agency seem incorrect and incomplete. Now, the current theories of self are talking about self as an ego or a soul. Okay, self as an ego or a soul doesn't make any sense. Why? Because ego, soul are homogeneous, changeless entities. All right, they're not supposed to change. They're supposed to be homogeneous. While the self we experience, the self Mrinal, the self Mrinal calls itself, or the self Amy, or the self John, these are not changeless entities. These are very dynamic entities, and we experience. I mean, I have experienced Mrinal in a different way. What I experience today, what I experienced 10 years back, or 20 years back, or 30 years back. The self called Mrinal, or the self called Amy, or the Rita, or a John, or anything, these selves have evolved over a period of time. They've not been same. So my theory of self, the brainular self, which I discovered after 9 years of research, tells me that the self is not something which we are born with. It is actively co-created by the brain. It is co-created. Okay, how it is co-created, that will be a separate video. But right now, what you should focus on, that the brain creates yourself. Okay, and it doesn't create it in a single day. It creates over a period of time. All right, it literally is actively adding layers to yourself. All right, you don't have a single self, you don't have a single point self, you have a framework called self. This is a framework inside you. All right, and this framework has got 3 layers. You're not operating like a one room flat. You're operating like a 3-story bungalow. Okay, you've got different rooms. You've got 3 layers. Okay, the first layer is your emotional layer. Okay, that is the layer which determines what is the emotional lens you will use to view the world, to choose your world, to empathize with the world, to emotionally connect with the world. For example, ask yourself, what is your earliest childhood memory? Ask yourself, okay? Now, ask me, what is Mrinal's earliest childhood memory? My earliest childhood memory is only one: seeing my mother bleed, half naked, violently abused, blood flowing from her mouth and from her vagina and from everywhere, and she's badly beaten by my father. That is my first memory. Okay, now that is the emotional lens I carried throughout my life to view the world and to emotionally connect with the world. So that is the first layer of yourself. Okay, so you need to ask, what is your first childhood memory? The second layer is your cognitive layer. That is where it becomes very complex. The framework becomes very complex. Okay, the lot of things which come into picture is the cognitive layer. Now the cognitive layer is how you will choose the world. Okay, it is the not how, what world will you choose. Okay, so in the first layer you develop the worldview. Okay, you develop the ability to choose. That is the first layer, emotional layer. The second layer is where you decide what to choose. Okay, and the second layer is where subjective experience begins. Why? Because the second layer is where the self becomes three-dimensional. Okay, and it really opens up. Okay, it really this is the layer where you employ your strengths and your weaknesses, and you connect with the environment, and you build relationship with the environment, and you push and pull, and you experience the forces of the world. All right, this is the second layer. The third layer is the layer where perception takes place. This is the layer where your world emerges in its truest form. This is the layer where you experience your framework, your mental world, like the world we experience outside. You experience it like literally the way you see it right now. Okay, so it is very matrix kind of a thing. These are the 3 layers. Now, as most of you are not aware of, the language of the brain is not the languages we speak. We speak English, Hindi, Punjabi. These are not the languages the brain speaks. Brain speaks to itself, to the self, to the framework of the self in its own language. And for each layer, it has got a separate language. All right. So separate language for each layer to help it develop it, talk to it, and to help it function. All right. So that is how complicated our self is. Our self is not ego or soul. It is a framework. It is a framework operating with a lot of forces. It's a framework which gives rise to another world inside us. So that's all from me in this video. I'll be talking about more things in the next videos. Thank you very much.